We're back on the Exit 52 podcast, presented as always by Jimmy's Famous Seafood. It is Wednesday, November 6th, 7:39 p.m. My name is Jake Louque. I'm joined by gentle Spen Crangshaw. Short week here for the Ravens. Just played 3 days ago, and here we are, waiting all day for Thursday night. If you're listening to this, you actually are waiting all day for Thursday night because you did not watch football all day. My name is Jake Louque. I'm joined, like I said, by Spenny. How we doing tonight, pal?
Doing well. Excited for this game. Excited for this jersey combo. I was getting a little weird about the jersey purple. And then I realized, I remember the Ravens obliterating the Dolphins with color rush and things like that. John Harbaugh really is just great. Lamar Jackson, obviously really great too in prime time. So big game. I think this is a statement game for the Ravens, and it is a short week, and they didn't have to travel, and they are relatively healthy. Can that change during the game? Can guys start dropping like flies on both sides, for both teams? Yes, certainly. But excited for this one. Excited to see how the crowd is, and hoping it's going to be a fun one as the Ravens. This is their last primetime home game, if I'm not mistaken, this season. And who knows? Might not get another night game. Ravens aren't going to get the 1 seed. Chiefs are. You're not going to catch the Chiefs for the 1 seed. They would have to lose 4 games. You'd have to win.
They're not going to lose 1 game, as we've already discussed. So.
I don't know about all that. But I might have to do a little gallon milk mile run chug if they do. And the Bucs gave them a little run for their money the other night, so I was getting all horned up about that one. But
it makes me root for the Chiefs. Just a tough position for me to be in, but it's where I'm at.
That's what you needed. That though, you needed this. That was good for you. You need to have some sort of rooting interest for the Chiefs. It's good for you. It's good for your. That's chicken soup for Jake Luke's soul.
Yeah, I guess so. And you know, the further along we get into this, you know, we had Todd Bowles the other night opting not to go for that too. He might have saved my bacon on that one, because the Chiefs, if you listen to some stats, I think they might have been talking on Shout Out Mostly Sports or one of these shows. They're like 7-0 in their last like X amount of coin flips or something like that. I think Mahomes has only lost 1 coin flip in his career. You know, those coming in overtime. Obviously, you go back to that Bills playoff game. Like, it's just the luck is on their side in that regard.
That is absurd. Just another, what a great pull that is for just another absurd thing the Chiefs are good at. They're the best at running for 4 to 9 yards. They're the best at coin tosses. They're the best at, I don't know, getting away with false starts, whatever else. Just
tight end 7 routes, you know, that gain them.
Best at tight end slides and chip releases that they run as a play. Like, they're just running chip releases as a play. Like in Madden, like they're just spamming Madden. The Chiefs are a Madden team. That is what I've come to. They're not a real football team. They play a different sport. They are playing Madden. Everyone else is playing. Well, not everyone. I won't say like Bryce Young is, but he's coming off a win. But an interesting game there. So wild.
Yeah, absolutely. Been an interesting week for the Ravens too. We had the trade deadline come and pass, and they make one move. I think a lot of people are not happy about the fact that they did not, in fact, acquire an edge. Saw Darius Smith thrown around a lot. He winds up going to the Lions for not a crazy amount of compensation. I think the Ravens could have matched that, but I think people are also correct in thinking that the Browns probably aren't interested in helping the Ravens out with that kind of thing. Azeez Ojulari, the Giants stand pat with him and do not move him. Calais Campbell was really the big one that I think people found a little bit weird, and it just sounds like the Dolphins were asking a little bit too much. So they do not get him. We'll see if he stays with the Dolphins for the remainder of this year, and if a reunion could be in the offing at some point. But they ultimately settle for cornerback Tre'Davious White from the Rams, who was a guy that I had been looking at for a while. A lot of people very mixed on this move, a little lukewarm. For me, it's just kind of cornerback depth. It's another one that they just didn't really give up too much for. And it reminds me a little bit of the Deontay Johnson move in that it is all about depth, except the Deontay Johnson move, there's a lot more upside to that one. This guy just seems like kind of a body at this point, although Cole did say that he kind of liked a little bit more of his tape than he was expecting. So I don't know. It seems like it's a wait and see for me on this one.
Yeah, pertaining to the guys the Ravens didn't trade for and that weren't moved, they weren't moved. Azeez Ojulari wasn't moved. So there are 31 other teams, 30 teams, I suppose, because the Giants are one of them, that didn't find that price tag worthwhile either. And you can't make every move. That's what we get into every year. I'll say it every single year. You can't make every trade. You couldn't get Hopkins and Smith and Johnson and. So what we had heard, which I'll give a 47% confidence on the Spenny Sources confidence scale is that the Dolphins wanted like a 6th round pick for Campbell, who is a rental and is very old, and the Ravens were unwilling to do that, but they would have done a 7th. And then we see them go get Trey White. Trey White, I think, what does Trey White bring or add to the Ravens? He adds pressure onto Brandon Stevens, I'd say, over basically from now through the bye week, I'd say. Brandon Stevens, the difference between him this year and last year is just not being able to get the football smacked down, not being able to smack the football out. Everything else is the same. He just can't make a play on the football. Made a lot last year, played a really good game against Jamar Chase last year in one of those 2 games. And the Thursday night game they played at home against the Bengals last year was great against him, really physical with him. Just has been able to do it. So that, and then I would also say, what is Trey White good at this point? Well, where did he come from and where was he good? He was good in the Bills defense. Ravens played the Bills. We did that whole preview, right? The Bills like to run 2 high split safety looks. Trey White would press into those, play some cover 2, be in that honey hole a little bit, go snag some interceptions, cover 4, also sitting back and driving downhill on the ball. From what I saw of Trey White, the Rams were asking him to play a little more single coverage, which he could do in Buffalo, absolutely. But a little bit more of an island, had a big catastrophic injury, not quite as explosive as he once was. So if the Ravens want to put him on the field, I'm putting him in those zone scenarios and asking him to keep the play in front of him instead of run with the play. I think he can do that well. I don't think it's a high impact move, but he has good ball skills. He is a veteran player. He has name value and has been in some big moments. So is it an impact move? No. I like it as, better than not doing it. I think he's probably better than Jalen Armour Davis, if I had to, say. But I am worried about the Ravens' interior defensive line. I know a lot of people were talking about edges. Ravens would have basically had to pay a 2nd-round pick to get Zadarius Smith, which I do think Zadarius Smith could help you win a Super Bowl. Could. Very, very, very lowercase c, maybe like capital D on the end. Everything lowercase capital D on the end. Could help you, but And then who else was moved that's making a difference? Not really many players. Not really a ton. Preston Smith, that's not better. To me, Preston Smith is not an improvement beyond marginally over Yannick Ngakoue, Kyle Van Noy. He would be an improvement probably over Jabo, who was a healthy scratch and has struggled with his injuries and things like that. So yeah, that again, not saying it would have been bad if they got him, but I just don't think that's the difference between winning a Super Bowl or not. Travis Jones, who rested. If Travis Jones can regain form with that ankle, and maybe I'm going a little crazy on the ankle, but I think a big man that is 330 pounds having a ankle sprain that's lingering for a while is not good for him. I don't think it's going to be good for a while. So it can get into a better place. Ankles are kind of like a back. Sometimes randomly you're just like, oh, that's fine. And then again, a week later, you're like, oh, no, it's not fine. That hurts really bad. I can't explode.
Have I ever told you that, I don't know if it's the way that I sit in this chair or something. This is a serious admission for me. Sometimes my neck, just I don't know if I have a bulging disc or something, but it just goes fucking haywire. And I'm really worried that I'm not going to be able to finish the show, but I just grit my teeth and get through it every time. I hope it doesn't happen to me tonight.
Why don't you move your chair then?
Maybe I could I like to lean forward a little bit, so I'm towards the mic a little bit.
All right, well, scoot up a little, lean back a little. There we go. Why don't you stop doing that then? I lean forward when I'm good posture for me. If you're watching on YouTube, this would be my good posture. Zach Beard says Jakey looks like he's about to go on the meanest safari of all time. I think he looks like he's about to smoke a cigarette in Birmingham in the United Kingdom.
I feel like I look like either Carl Spackler from Caddyshack or Hunter S. Thompson, somewhere in between the two.
Okay, I'll let you have that one. Sure, but yeah, Travis Jones, I think that's a big key, and we're going to get into the Bengals game here in a little bit. We'll go through some clips, some injury reports, some game stuff. We didn't record after the Broncos game because of the short week, and probably because of the other thing that happened aside from the trade deadline yesterday and today. So, with that in mind, I am going to say this: if Travis Jones resting him, if that got him healthy, and he can come back, that fixes so many pass rush issues. The Ravens weren't having as much of issues when he he was getting single blocked instead of Matabike more often, and he was fucking shit up. And now he's not. His ankle's kind of bum, and I don't know. Need that to heal up. I do think the Ravens will acquire a defensive lineman via free agency or waivers in the next couple months. I think they do need one. Chris Wormley came in, gave you some snaps. He's a warm body. He's Ravens fans. He's a worm body. He can do the worm. He can real good. He's like Shai Hulud. So yeah, Chris Wormley there. Mikey Pierce out. Tough. But yeah, I mean, the Ravens, and we can get into the comments. I know you had some clips, Jake, some comments from Marlon Humphrey that are interesting. I did like what I saw from the Ravens defense this week against the Broncos. I do like the plan that I'm starting to see come to fruition personnel-wise moving forward. And I think we're starting to see them figure out what they are. I've been watching a lot of Gruden Loves Football. And
got you feeling nice.
Got me feeling nicey. He's big into like you are who you are in November. Like show me. He calls it Showvember. Show me in November what you can do. Like this is the second half now. All the learning process from training camp into the season and the coaching brain drain, and Dean Pease has been here a little while and all that stuff. November is the show me month. There's the show me state. November is the show me month. So show me what you have learned in the first half of this football season, Zach Orr, the Ravens defense, all of those things. Show me.
Yeah, some good color from John. I'm sorry I didn't get the reporter who asked it. I'm not exactly sure who it was, but asked about Marlon Humphrey basically coming out and saying what Jack, who obviously is close with Marlon, had confirmed that, the players need to be playing a little bit better too here. So let's not put it all on Zach Orr. This is what John had to say about that.
Marlon was telling us yesterday, he feels that Zach has taken some heat for player mistakes. What does that mean to see a leader on your team talk like that and take some accountability? And do you feel like things are going the right way based off last week to fix this secondary?
Well, I think it's a process through the whole season to get better at everything. There seems to be an expectation that you're going to be perfect at everything, every aspect of your game, from the first game to the last game to the end. And that seems to be the requirement, and it's just not reality. It's not reality in anything. We have a growth mindset. We don't have a fixed mindset. We understand that we can get better, we work hard to get better every single day at every single thing we do. And I know Marlon's speaking to that. Our guys are great about that. Coaches are great about that. So you face challenges, you face circumstances, and you meet them as you find them. You meet them where they're at. You meet your circumstances where they're at. That's what I was looking for. You meet your circumstances where they're at. I think that's pretty good. So that's what we continue to do, and you continue to try to grow, whether it's football or life or whatever. So that's what we're trying to do as a team, and I'm very confident in our guys doing that.
Yeah, it's a very John answer. But I don't know. I think it's some good insight there and kind of goes into what you and Gruden are saying, that it's a living, breathing thing in NFL season. And I don't know, there are elements with this defense where I look at it and I'm like, shit, man, they couldn't be doing much worse, particularly that Browns game I would look at as what you would hope to be the nadir from that. And you'd hope that they've built upon that a little bit after only surrendering 10 points to the Broncos. And I can understand why there'd be some concern after that game, because you're playing against Bo Nix, who got frazzled early. He definitely missed a couple of throws that could have made it a little bit of a closer one. But let's say he hits one or two more of those big plays. Maybe they're scoring in the 20s, right? But you're still probably going to win that one. So you just it's just all about building and sort of, like John is saying, meeting the circumstances where they are. And I don't know, it's just kind of a nice calming thing to hear from him. And I think as they continue to get healthier and continue to get reps under their belt, hopefully they will start to tighten things up a little bit.
Well said. JJ Sanders here in the chat says, I think we need to see how the defense looks for 2 to 3 more weeks. They held the Broncos to 10, but there's a lot of context there. And I love that comment, because who are the Ravens playing and who did they just play? Well, they just played a rookie quarterback in Bo Nix that can get a little loosey-goosey with his mechanics and miss some throws. And he did. And he probably missed 2 touchdowns, maybe more. Who is not going to miss those throws? Joe Burrow is not going to miss those throws. You have already played Joe Burrow. He already torched you. You already tried to play a lot of zone. He already torched your zone. And I actually looked up. We can ping pong here. We have a lot of topics to cover. We'll go back and forth. I went on to SIS. my favorite for coverage charting, and I filtered down man coverage. I didn't put cover 0 in, so I'm a little bit of a liar there. Man coverage, the worst quarterbacks in the NFL by EPA with a minimum of 40 pass attempts against man coverage. Deshaun Watson, -31. Dak Prescott, -25. Anthony Richardson, -19. Kyler Murray as well at 19. Will Levis, Trevor Lawrence, Bryce Young, Jordan Love, Bo Nix, and then Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is at a -10 EPA, which out of qualified passers is, let's see here. That would put him at, where did it just go? Oh my gosh. I don't know. He just disappeared on me. My eyes are failing me. There we go. Okay. Sorry. 32nd out of 42. Positive play rate, success rate is 17th. So why don't you play some man coverage? Why don't you play some 2-man? Why don't you play a lot more man coverage, some more man match? Why don't you go take your lumps and not worry about blown zones, which you had last game? Why don't you maybe not try and run all the pressures that you tried to run against the Bengals and you had to get out of? How did you win the Bengals game? To oversimplify, you played man press and Marlon Humphrey picked the ball off and press man.
And
so
T. Higgins listed as doubtful on the injury report for this game too. So that would be helpful if he could not go in this one.
Doubtful. I'll knock on wood. I hope he can play, frankly. Give the Ravens a test. I don't want anyone to be hurt. So I'll knock on wood for T. Higgins. I don't remember the last time I saw someone doubtful play. I have the full injury report here. I'm going to throw it up on the screen.
I think Belichick would do that back in the day. They made him stop because I think this was before gambling was like a big thing, but I'm pretty sure like people were getting pissed. And so they're like, no, dude, like you can't list somebody's doubtful like all the time and like just play them.
He would list Brady questionable every week.
Yeah.
So Rasheen Ali, questionable. Jalen Armour-Davis, doubtful. Keaton Mitchell, questionable. I think he definitely plays in this one. Brent Urban, out. That concussion. Hope he's okay. He's been out 2 games now. I mean, short week, so
yeah,
maybe just playing a little safe. But on the other side, Chase Brown has a little rib injury. Orlando Brown Jr., familiar foe there. Knee and fibula, did not practice, limited. He's going to try to go. Joe Burrow listed on there. He's fine, just the wrist. Higgins didn't practice. He's not going to play. He's not going to play. BJ Hill, questionable. Did not practice, limited. Maybe there because he was limited. Sam Hubbard, Geno Stone, a couple of guys that have been limited as well. So T. Higgins, Orlando Brown, and Isaiah Likely, I missed on the Ravens. He's out with a hamstring, which I do think is a big deal for the Ravens, and we'll get into that. But
and Lamar is still dealing with a knee, apparently. Missed practice on Monday and Tuesday, but he came back today, full participant. So it just sounds like there's something that they're managing at this point, and you got sort of a mini bye week coming up. So you're just hoping you can get through this one with a win and then let him rest on that for a little while.
That would be ideal, Jake. That would be ideal. So, yeah, I mean, Joe Burrow has torched man coverage. The Bengals have been poor against man coverage. And then we go take a look at cover 2, cover 3, cover 4, cover 6. We exclude things like spikes, screens. What else do we have in there? Goal line, defense, anything like that. And you go check out EPA. Burrow's 5th, 29 EPA. Lamar Jackson, number 1, 67, which is the difference between 2nd and 26th there. I just realized as well. Success rate 53.8, which ranks 13th. So been much, much better against zone coverage than man. I think you can see that. With those injuries in mind, I guess we can kind of get into it. I do have a little bit of tape, which I will pull up here. A couple quick things that I just kind of noted. We already did the whole tape breakdown. There's nothing too crazy here. I'll get into a little bit of it. But to share my screen,
love
we
the
can see. Thank you very much. Chase's usage is a key here. And again, I was watching Gruden, and I stole some of these things from him, to be frank. And I'm probably going to continue to do so. And put the actual.
If you're going to do that, you have to like talk in his cadence, like Joe Burrow. 5
All right,
touchdowns.
man. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. He's had a little bit of an injury. They got this guy Gesicki. This other one, Ishivash.
Well, so, I just love the TikToks where he's literally just reading a stat line and looking to the camera, saying it's got him feeling nicey, and then barking, and then moving on to the next guy.
Those are great. I honestly watched the entire hour he did on the Ravens. I skipped through some of it, or I listened to it. I should say I was listening. That's why it's nice, because it's kind of like halfway a podcast. Anyway, Jamar Chase. The issue with Jamar Chase at times over the last couple of years is them not moving him around. So looked at a couple third downs. They like to move Chase around when Higgins is out, even more so because teams are going to shade. So moving him, like you always shade to Tyreek Hill. You always shade to Justin Jefferson. So moving those players is a good idea because it'll draw out the coverage. You'll sniff out the rat. We're going to say rat, I guess, all year. This is the year of the rat. Maybe it is in Chinese. Maybe Chinese year is the year of the rat. I would wager it was.
Actually, it was the Ravens. The rat symbolizes the Ravens.
Well, there we go. So Chase here, they mug up. You can see the Eagles mug up. Same stuff the Ravens always do. And this is what Joe Burrow does. They just run a little hook, sits down in the soft spot, easy first down. This is still going on. I looked at this Eagles game a lot. Quick, easy, same shit the Ravens were doing in the first half. Got torched. Second half, got torched. Switched to man coverage. Don't do this. It's easy. Bring him in motion. Go get an easy first down. They've been using him a lot in motion, and they're starting. That's how they get other guys open, is by using him on these kind of jet flare motions, these quick wide motions. That one, not really that, but we're going to see the next play, which is. So now we're going to see a hand signal. Now, the Bengals scored a touchdown against the Ravens. What was that long chase touchdown on the screen? This exact play, and the Bengals ran a check. So they're getting into their bag here. They're starting to go through. You see the hand signal here, and it's going to look like Chase is just going to catch a screen. These corners up top are going to get blocked. There's kind of 3-on-3. The Raiders are showing this blitz. So, all right, yeah, they're going to throw the quick screen. No, they do a hand signal. You can see Gesicki there up top. He's making a little signal back to Burrow. Complete bluff. He just runs right downfield for a touchdown. So just avoid these blitzes. Avoid this all-out blitz bullshit against the Bengals. Make them go the long, hard way. You're playing you're playing Tom Brady. Like, Burrow plays like Tom Brady. He's a little more athletic, and he's not as quick to process still. That's the similarity of player. Like, he's playing like that. I don't know what else to tell you. He is. So when you do this to Tom Brady, he's going to fucking torch you. You didn't play Tom Brady like that. They left no one in the middle of the field. This is 3rd down and 6. No one in the middle of the field. They have a quick little bang, bang hand signal. It's like Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady are the two guys that come to mind for Burrow. He doesn't have the arm of Rodgers. He kind of has the mobility of Rodgers and the mind of Brady. So those things with Chase, like, at this point, don't get into that situation. Play conservative. Play Dean Pease, bend but don't break, all that stuff. So here, another point I wanted to make for the Ravens defense. I saw the Eagles doing this a lot, getting pressure. If they line up in these formations, let them run the football. Odafe Owe and Kyle Van Noy and whoever else is going to play edge, just go get sacks on first down. Like, they're going to run play action half the time out of this shit. Go get a sack. Nolan Smith does that here. He doesn't buy what they're selling, goes and gets a sack. Eagles get off the field. Get them on first down. When they go under center and he has to turn his back, he almost gets out of this. When they go under center, he turns his back, you can go get him. Their tackles are if Orlando Brown can't play, and it's Armarius Mims who's had some struggles, he's young and needs a lot of development. He's super athletic, but hands, things like that. Go get a bucket every time. Let them run it. They have one back. Joe Burrow was making the comment, like, oh, Khalil Herbert, they traded for, like, oh, I'll just tell him what to do. That's not going to work well. So let Chase Brown run for 98 yards. Go ahead. Go get the buckets.
Yeah. Their offense is in an interesting spot too. I don't know if you saw that drama with Jermaine Burton and everything, where he's just not showing
Eric, the tight end, he tore his ACL. He's been a nice player for them. Yeah. So they're missing now Zach Moss. They're missing potentially Orlando Brown. They could have Cody Ford and Armarius Mims as their tackles. They don't have T. Higgins. They don't have Eric All Jr. They're in a tough spot, man. I will be really impressed with the Bengals if they can hang 30 on the Ravens again and beat them. I will be really impressed. So go get a bucket. Burrow's playing out of his mind, doesn't have a lot of help. He just has Chase, Gesicki coming on strong, and I want to talk about him next here. Drive on him. The Ravens have played Mike Gesicki. He is like a basketball player playing football. Remember Kyle Hamilton just shoving his face in the dirt when he was, I think, on the Dolphins, and just bodying the shit out of him? Hit him. He is like that class. He's like Cade Otton lately. Kyle Hamilton also laid out Cade Otton. He has the ball skills and he can get open, but you can wipe his face across the mud. He is tall. He's lanky. He's not the functionally strongest guy. He's not really great boxing out, but he's great at high pointing. Watch the safety here. The Eagles are going to blitz, watch their safety just drive on him. It's that same shit we talked about with Chase. They just like to go sit at the sticks. Quick, bang, bang. Go hit him. He'll drop the ball. He isn't a super physical player. He's long arms. He's kind of gangly. He's like a smooth, gangly guy. So drive on him, hit him, get the ball out. Little tiny bit of hesitation from Burrow. Maybe that helps some. Like, ball should have maybe already been out. He doesn't have a ton of zip on the ball necessarily. Now let's watch what happens when you don't. So the Eagles are going to blitz again. It's going to be the same safety, Blankenship, on Gesicki. And at the last moment, so it's going to be an out instead. So the Bengals are like, all right, we can get the same look. We're going to run an out instead. And the safety is going to do exactly what he does. Because the safety hesitated here, the safety should have just kept like lightly holding the trigger down and lightly pursuing to Gesicki. Instead, he kind of gets flat there again and neutral and like bubbles back out. I try to rewind it here. He kind of pauses and has trepidation. No, go hit Gesicki. Go take a pass interference. It's fine. They don't have guys to beat you. Like, it's okay. Maybe not the end of a game to get in field goal range, but go fuck him up.
Yeah.
You should body Mike Gesicki.
Yeah, JJ Sanders in the comments saying a positive from the Broncos game is the Ravens actually hit the wide receivers and tight ends at the line. I think they can do it tomorrow too. Yeah, I'm in on that. And I think that was, you had Ardarius Washington catching a pick close to the line of scrimmage as well. Looking at that Bengals-Eagles game too, I mean, they weren't fooled by the motions or anything like that. I don't know if you clipped that play that DeJean made on 4th down on Jamar Chase. One of the best plays I've seen all year. That was sick. And it's just the tenacity. You got to be able to tackle Jamar Chase. That's the one thing that just really stands out that people don't talk about as much, because he is a deep threat and he's an aerial threat. He can do everything, but like, he's also a monster after the catch and like a monster around the line of scrimmage. You got to just bring the guy down and not let him turn into a running back running in the open field against you. And the Eagles did that really well in a couple different plays.
They did. And the reason I think that the Ravens did exactly what JJ Sanders said in the comments there was because they had the best combination of safeties that they can put on the field. Kyle Hamilton is on the field too, but Ardarius Washington drives on the ball and hits and is like efficient. His footwork's efficient. He is processing quicker. And Marcus Williams. Those are the two safeties out of Eddie Jackson and whoever else you want to throw into that hodgepodge that can drive on the football. Marcus Williams in the first play of the game looked like his old self. He ran the alley, made a hit. He was doing that when he first got here before he had that pec injury. So do that. That is good. Those are the right players. That is the right combination. Arthur Millette getting back into the mix of things a little bit there. So I do think that's a huge, huge, huge factor for the Ravens to be successful. I did want to switch over to the other side of the ball. It's a short week and the Bengals had to travel. So Gruden, again, I'm stealing his point, and he makes it great. He's a head coach. He understands game planning. He said, well, if I'm Lou Anarumo, I don't really have a lot of time to do something different than I did last time. And last time it kind of worked, right? You almost got Henry. Like, he gets in that whole thing. They bottled Henry up a little bit. Lamar torched them. They were almost there a couple times. They could have got a couple plays, could have gone another way. Zay Flowers has the bobbling catch kind of on a 3rd down when they bring pressure, those kinds of things. Their defense is bad. They don't have talent. They are a little better than they were in terms of processing and coverage rules, and they're a little better and cleaner at those things. They beat up on the Raiders, who beat up on the Ravens, but they're not a great offense. They beat up on a couple bad teams here. Let me go back and take a double check here. I forget. They beat up on the Raiders. They got drummed by the Eagles, absolutely worked by the Eagles. They beat up on Deshaun Watson. They beat up on Daniel Jones. That's who they've played since they played Lamar Jackson last time, which is a good thing for them because they get to work on shit. And they've won all but one of those games since losing in overtime to the Ravens. So they've held those teams to less than 200 yards passing twice, the Raiders and the Giants. Their run defense got beat up by the Eagles, who are a good offense, and the Eagles had 397 yards and scored 37 points. So that smells like fish to me. The Eagles, not identical to the Ravens, but they have a quarterback run game and a dynamic running back and an offensive line that's playing well in the run game and, some explosive pass catchers. So I don't know how the Bengals can do anything. They have Trey Hendrickson. They have no interior rush. The interesting point that I was looking at as well, Bengals have drafted 11 defensive linemen since 2020. 6 of them on the team. Other guys they've drafted early, Dax, Hill, Miles Murphy, Cam Taylor-Britt, DJ Turner, Chris Jenkins, all are high picks. None of them are producing like at a above average level. They're all okay players. They have Chris Jenkins and McKinley Jackson, who's, a 3rd round pick. Those guys got crushed by the Eagles late. They were tired. They didn't look clean mechanically, just didn't look up to par. It's a short week. If the Bengals can't win inside, then they have to blitz a ton and basically make their linebackers like not be able to help them process on the back end or anything. I just don't know. Like, Gruden was talking about Akeem Davis Gaither. He's like, he could be the key. Last time the Bengals were playing a 4-4 defense with 4 linebackers, like a bear in Madden defense, and 3 defensive backs, and the Ravens just throwing the ball over their head every time, and their DBs aren't any good. So I feel like there's damned if they do, damned if they don't. I would rather let Henry run on me this time, but Gruden made the good point. You didn't really have time to game plan that, and you already had a game plan on them from last time. So why don't you just try to execute that one better? That made a ton of sense to me. I think that's what they do. Isaiah likely not being available, probably, the Ravens just have this merry-go-round of whack-a-mole that you have to try to play with all their personnel. I saw the Pat McAfee show saying that they use 20 different personnel groupings, which is insane. Now you're down to 15, and that's still a lot, but you can't quite do the Kohler, likely Andrews thing you did against them when they went into that 4-4 defense. That's one little thing to watch out for.
Yeah, it makes me wonder about the use of 13 too. Do you get, a little bit more 3 wide looks and try to get Deontay Johnson into the mix in this one? He still hasn't been in this offense for very long, so that would probably surprise me a little bit. Kohler obviously made a couple plays the last time they were up against the Bengals. It's going to be more difficult with likely out of the lineup this time. Yet Deadly Jordan can't forget about the fat white guy running up the seam, in Charlie's own words himself. But yeah, it'll be a little bit easier to remember without his much more athletic counterpart in the lineup. So yeah, that'll be tougher, but they still got a handful of weapons here. And honestly, good drafting. Like they're really, really deep on this offense right now. So
they are. The Bengals defense 19th in EPA per play allowed. They are 22nd in success rate allowed. They have struggled against the pass. They've struggled against the run. I don't know, man. I don't know what their answer is going to be.
And if it is go all in on stopping Henry, it does make me wonder a little bit. Keaton Mitchell, is he going to play? What's his pitch count going to be? Are you just trying to have him get a little bit of cardio in and get back up to speed, maybe be a little bit of a decoy, which even that could be of some help if he does play? So yeah, that's another kind of wrinkle thrown in here if he's able to go.
Yeah, I think so as well. But yeah, a lot of comments here. No Higgins. Chase does not do as well without Higgins. I mean, it's just they have to use Chase as a decoy. That's why, the Vikings drafted Jordan Addison, so that they feel like they have another separator. And when you take one out of the equation, it's tough. So if the Ravens somehow lose this game, Gesicki is going to have to make 8 tight window catches and 2 one-handed catches. Chase Brown maybe bust one, which hasn't happened all year on the Ravens. Turnovers, injuries Thursday. I don't know. I just don't really see I don't see a path here for the Kamala Cincinnati Bengals. I seriously don't. I think the Ravens are going to beat the snot out of them. Derrick Henry is not a human being. He is a superior species to anyone that's listening to this podcast and myself and you, Jake. He is I've just been eating spinach all week. I'm not sore. I'm not tired. Great. That's who you have to go play. You have to travel on the road on a short week to go play Derrick Henry. Bengals were also at home last game. Crowd noise is going to be an issue. It's a night game. So I think that does. I know last year it was a big deal. Burrow did get, Burrow was moving the ball and whatever last year. They didn't have Higgins last year, but it is a factor. It does make communication more difficult. The great equalizer, Clete Blakeman, has refereed 15 Bengals games. The Bengals have had less penalty yardage than their opponents in 13 out of those 15 games. Bengals are 8-7 in those games. A few of them, the Bengals had more penalties, but much less yards. So it was, there's your great equalizer. I just don't know, Jake. I don't know what, I've said it 100 times. if you go into the cover zero stuff, the Ravens are destroying it. And you already lost that way. And you're making it easier on Lamar, who's the best player in the NFL. I think he's the best player in the NFL this season and right now. So that is not a recipe for success. So I don't think the Bengals have success.
Yeah, I'm kind of right there with you. I mean, just to boil it down, like with the way that this offense has been performing, I mean, that Browns game was their worst performance in many, many weeks, probably since the Raiders game. And they still put up, 24 points in that one? They damn near came close to winning it. With the way the Ravens offense has been playing, like the defense, I think, and, with the lack of talent on the Bengals D, I think the Ravens defense would have to shit the bed in equal fashion to the last time they played the Bengals. I don't necessarily see that happening. They're going to be a little bit healthier. Like you said, they're at home. I think that'll play a little bit more of a factor. And yeah, I think they're hungry to start reversing the narrative to the extent that they can. I think they're a little bit talent deficient. We're not going to be seeing the 2023 Ravens walking through that door anytime soon, but as long as they can just put up a competent performance and the offense can keep things rolling, even to 80% of their standard up to this year, I think the Ravens should walk away with a win here.
I agree. I definitely agree. Ravens are more healthy. I think they're better. Their defense has more talent. They're better. The Bengals are without one of their probably Higgins might be their third most important player on their team, like behind Burrow and Chase. It really might be that way. Orlando Brown, I guess, is up. Hendricks, I'll say Hendrickson. Hendrickson is literally by himself on that defensive front.
He's I'm looking at the PFF lineup right now. He's the 89.9 grade. He's got the deep blue. Closest one next to him is Logan Wilson, 79.1, and a lot of Jags in there. Geno Stone bringing up the rear back there at free safety, 50.3, 79th out of 88th of graded PFF safeties.
I mean, they're not great in terms of EPA. They're not great in terms of PFF grade. It tells me they're not a good unit. BJ Hill, one of their better defenders this year, pass rushers, I suppose. I mean, Hendrickson has 11 sacks. PFF doesn't do half sacks, so maybe it's like 9.5 or 10.5 or something. Sam Hubbard has 2, and no one else has more than 1. They're not going to sack Lamar Jackson. Like maybe twice they could somehow, but don't have a lot. BJ Hill banged up. Chris Jenkins, those other guys we talked about. I mean, it's a bad situation. And Burrow's playing amazing. I really think he is. He's ran the ball well. He looks stronger, faster, more athletic, like physical than he has before. Probably because he, couldn't go crazy throwing the football. So he's probably like, all right, I'll do it.
Yeah, he looked great in that Raiders game, and the body language too was just like he's pissed off, I think, both for greatness, and I think he's maybe a little frustrated with the way the season has gone. Understandably so. Like the way this offense is playing, if they even had a competent defense here, they'd be right in the mix for the AFC North, and they still are technically. I mean, you can't write them off quite yet, but man, it's tough sledding for them right now.
It is, and I think Greg Rosenthal said it on the NFL Today show,
NFL Daily.
NFL Daily, there we go. He said that you can just tell Burrow's pissed because he's like, I'm in great shape. The wrist I got over. Like the knee is gone in the past, like very far in the past. Some of the other injuries are very far in the past. He's playing the best football he's ever played, and it is by far the worst team around him since his rookie year.
And that was his thing with that kid Burton. He was like, yo, don't sit on my bench if you're going to miss practices and then not dress for a game. Like we can't have this level of unprofessionalism. Like I could see why that would really wear on a guy. Like, and they
need to play Burton. They do. That could be an X factor. He is a good receiver. He is talented, and they need him now. They should play him. He should play all games.
They have no choice. I think they pretty much kind of, they made their point last week, sitting him after he missed the practice, and now with Higgins probably not going to play, it's like you got no choice. You make your point, get him in there, see if you can get him going.
I agree, and see if he can beat Brandon Stevens, and he has to be a factor. He has to. I don't think Gesicki can beat this type of like the Hamiltons, and I don't think Gesicki could have a nice game, but not going to get it done. They need Jermaine Burton. I think Jermaine Burton could keep things close. He could have 2 explosive catches. He is like that. But
Yoshi Boss is really good too. I mean, like especially for a guy without much pedigree, like he's produced pretty well for them. So
yeah, he's a nice player. He has good ball skills. I feel like he is tired. I feel like Ishivash like took a big workload for the first time this year.
Yeah.
A little beat up. Doesn't look as bright-eyed and bushy-tailed as he did earlier in the year with T. Higgins being out and all that stuff.
Yeah,
I love Chase Brown. I think he's so good. I think he's explosive. I think he's good in the pass game. Can't really block well in pass pro, which is an issue, but kind of reminds me of like Justice Hill with 10 pounds in a way. Like he's explosive. He's cut up. He can run hard for his size. Really talented player. I like him a lot. I have him in all my fantasy leagues, I think. Big on him. So good. Like that's exciting, but yeah, I think it's going to be a tall task.
Indeed.
The concepts, we have the question, Flagship Fantasy, how would Burton keep it close? He doesn't even show up for walkthroughs, run 9 routes, win single coverage. Like, it's not. You can simplify things for someone that's been on your team the entire season. He's made catches already. He's made plays. I think he could score a 70-yard touchdown in single coverage. That's how. Like, that could be a game-defining play, something like that. I think they need him to make that kind of play. Like, it's not. I'm guilty of making football appear more complicated than it is probably often and embellishing maybe in ways, but for him, it doesn't have to be. He knows the fucking routes. He just like, it's not that he does like the walkthrough is not understanding the offense. It's just like being locked into that game together.
Yeah. You got to think he knows the offense. I think the particular frustration with him was that they went into that game thinking we're going to build this game plan around him, and he just didn't show up to the practice is the story that I was told.
He's acting like a bum. He's acting like an immature bratty bum. He was accused of doing that in college. He was basically a black sheep and ends up transferring in college because of that. He has that incident on field with the Tennessee fan, which now, like, with all that was my question with him coming out. Like, I didn't know about some of the other things. I just knew about the Tennessee incident. And if that was one thing, he swiped at someone, it's not good, not condoning. But if it was just that in a moment of frustration after a loss, that's okay. I can get over that. But it's not. He apparently was being a complete piece of garbage at Georgia, not showing up to shit. They want him to transfer. He goes to Bama because Bama was desperate for receivers. He was awesome there. And then does shit like that. So, I think he'll make plays if he's asked to. We talked about Thor. We talked about the Trey White trade. I'm not saying I'm not saying that Burton is going to be 150 yards and 4 touchdowns and, going insane, but it's like they need help at receiver. They got Trent Irwin who can catch the ball up the seam a little, and Ishivash has made some plays like we just mentioned, but they need all the help they can get. They don't have They don't have Higgins. They don't have Zach Moss. Orlando Brown is banged up. Like, they don't have a fullback, and Drew Sample is going to play a lot now, who has just been very unspectacular overall. He's just a very meh tight end. So they need help. They're playing against an offense that's averaging 31 points a game and already drummed them. The Bengals were up 10 last time they played. The Ravens was like, see ya. We'll just cruise right through. So I think they need Burton, and they need to play Burton. So I don't know. I guess that's all I have. But yeah, Burrow, I know there's conversation. I can't remember who. I responded to someone today. Maybe it was Dan Orlovsky. It was like, this could be an MVP race thing. And if the Bengals win, then in the next couple of weeks, then I think Burrow deserves votes for MVP today. Like, you vote for first place, second place, third place. I'm biased. I'm not going to put him over Lamar Jackson. I'd probably put him too. I would put him over Jared Goff.
If it were just literally best player, like, kind of how Heisman is a little bit narrative as well. But if it was just best player and wins didn't matter, he absolutely would be in the conversation. But unfortunately, you got to be on a really great team to win the MVP. So yeah, if they start to if they win here and start to rip off wins, I think he will get in the conversation. He's just not right now because they're not winning as they should be.
Exactly. I would give him my number 2 vote over Josh Allen, over Jared Goff right now. He is carrying the Bengals, dragging them through injury, lack of talent. He has receivers and the offensive line's all right, but I don't think it's ideal situation as opposed when you look at Jared Goff. I mean, Allen, I don't think Allen's playing quite as well as Burrow, but Allen's been good too. So, yeah, I mean, the best record stuff. It's the quarterback on the team with the best record. So
Pretty much, yeah.
in that sense, it very much might be Mahomes somehow, some way, if he can just
If they go 17-0.
if he can get some stats. If he throws 28 touchdowns, what is he at now? He had a couple the other night, right?
Oh, does that get him up to like 11?
It does. He does have. He has a 90. I mean, he has a 90 passer rating, 2,000 yards. He could end up with 28 touchdowns, and
It's just funny. Like, think about where this team was 5 years ago. We were talking about them and they were absolutely like one of the best offenses in NFL history for like, a couple of years. And now we've got, they're just playing chess. They're playing checkers out there. They're just, moving the pawns up the table.
They're playing like what is the game where you like take the marbles and go around the different circles?
It's not backgammon, is it? Backgammon has
no. It's like simpler than that. I can't remember. Not Chinese checkers. I don't know. The hell is it called?
Might be Plinko.
Marble solitaire. I don't know. Marbles. I think it's just called marbles. They're like playing that.
JJ Sanders, same Mandala.
Mandala, exactly. They're playing a weird game. They play a weird, different game. It's not chess and checkers. It's Mandala, exactly. Mancala. Yeah.
They're playing Plinko. They're just dropping the ball in, and like you don't know how it's going to get down there, but it's going to get down there, and it's going to be slow and short, and it's going to crush your spirit.
We have to do a New York Minute.
Yeah, I guess we do, huh? Seems like some people are starting to buy back in a little bit. Big win over the Texans, You had Adams breaking free for the touchdown there. Garrett Wilson, greatest touchdown catch of all time. That was amazing, by the way. Amazing job by Garrett Wilson there. Rodgers doing the media rounds again, dropping sanguine and.
Do you know what their record is?
3-6.
Yeah, can I read you the rest of their schedule?
Please, yeah.
They play the Cardinals, the Colts, the Seahawks, the Dolphins, the Jags, the Rams, the Bills, and the Dolphins.
You know what Aaron's got to do? He's got to go on McAfee, and he's got to, like, when he would do the radio interviews back in the day, like the Aaron Rodgers show in Green Bay, and he'd say like RELAX, and I really think we can run the table, and like he's got to drop one of those quotes. He's fucking around with this Thomas Morstead, cayenne pepper in the water stuff. Like, just give us a nice soundbite, and then just.
He's too old. He's always talking about cayenne pepper now.
I think his brains might be a little scrambled too from some certain experimentation with some substances, so he's not quite as dialed in as he used to be. But if he could just find that for one of these McAfee interviews and just drop a good quote and then ride that momentum, 10-7, they're in the playoffs. Love it.
That was a New York Minute. That was talking JETS with JAKELOUQUE. Predictions. I feel like the Ravens always score in the 30s in these games, and maybe the Bengals can do something funny. Maybe I'm just a fool. I know that I am. 36-20. I feel like it's tough to blow Burrow out is the thing. 36-27. 36-27. It's tough to kill him. He's hard. It's very tough to kill Lamar Jackson. And while you make your prediction, I'm going to go look up the games he's played and see if they get blown out.
Yeah, I'll go 31-23. I think the Bengals will put up 20 points. I think the defense will not be. We won't be having the are they back conversation quite yet, especially not against an offense like this, even down Higgins. I think they'll find a way to put some points on the board, but I think the Ravens offense keeps it rolling. Just get out of town with a victory, get on your mini bye week, get guys healthy, and just keep getting after it.
So they did just get, I'm an idiot. They just lost by 20 to the Eagles. Before that,
it was a closer game than that probably looked, though, right?
They got blown out last year by the Titans. Did he play? What the hell? 27-3, and he threw 30 passes. I have no recollection of that. Never mind. They got blown out by the Browns and the Titans. I take that back. I'm going 36-19.
Those were before he got hurt?
Yeah, they got blown out 3 times last year before he got hurt. Twice. Pardon me. They got blown out. They got blown out in the opener. In the opener against the Browns, they lost 24-3. He had 82 yards passing. Then he had 165 against the Titans and lost 27-3. And So there's 2 last year, and they got blown out by the Eagles.
It's funny how we always say John Harbaugh and Lamar Jackson don't get blown out, and then for the Bengals, we say Joe Burrow doesn't get blown out. There's nothing. No, we're not throwing a freaking bone to Zach Taylor on that one, are we?
That's true. Good point, JJ Sanders. Burrow was hurt to start the year last year. He did miss camp. That's a good point. All right, I'm going back. I'm flopping back to my flip. 36, 20. What did I say? 27. Yeah, 9 points. Ravens win by 9.
Okay. What's the line in this one?
5.5. Didn't do that part. Ravens are 5.5 point favorites. The over-under is 53.5. The Ravens are minus 258 money line. The Ravens are 29th in penalties. Guess who's first in the NFL in number of penalties?
Bengals?
Least penalties. Bengals. There's a 28 penalty disparity between these two teams. So that's why they won't blow out the Bengals. There will be pass interference and a field goal and a touchdown and a snap that hits someone and hits Lamar off the top of his helmet somehow. That kind of shit.
If you were in that stadium,
the Ravens did step on the Bills. I don't know. It is prime time, but I don't know. I think it's hard to kill him.
You let Cleet Blakeman know if you were in that stadium that you were not satisfied if things
Cleet. That's a good name to yell.
Yeah, there's no place for that in our game. I like to throw that. That always gets a chuckle from the people up in the bleachers. There are children watching. I'll throw that one around. Feel free to take that. I will be sitting in the club seats though, so I'll be behaving with a level of decorum, which I'm not quite used to. I'm gonna get my deal sleds on.
You're gonna like it a lot in there. I know you will.
I want to get some nice Bonobos khakis on. Get my Patagonia vest. Put it over a nice button down. I think I'm gonna have some whining cheese when I'm in there. Purple helmet. That's true. Those helmets look so much better, by the way, in person than they do on the graphic. I was not sold on those helmets until I saw Hamilton wearing them in that picture at the castle. They look good.
I wish there was I wish there was like a white color rush that had different font that was like more of that neo sharp as opposed to the Gothic kind. And when I was listening to NFL Daily with Greg Rosenthal and Jordan Rodriguez, her description was really nice of what like the all black games are. And I was like, I wish it was just all black. She was just like, it's such a dark Gothic setting, and the way that the fans are like melt into it. I was like, it is. They do really want the Gothic aesthetic and everything they use and market is
I always loved when Mickelson started to get a little bit older and he started like doing Twitter videos and stuff and getting into the content game. He would like explain that he would wear all black on major Sundays because NFL teams that wear all black get penalized more. So he'd wear all black, so he'd be more aggressive and go hunt pins and try to chase guys down. It's kind of, I always think of that when I talk about the Ravens all blacks.
Wearing all black is it does put you in that mindset a little bit. I agree. Mark, any fear of these being the equivalent to the Orioles City Connect? I did have that thought. But then I retorted back to,
are they going to have to wear them every fucking Friday? And
there's that. There's also like this, when the City Connect was shown, the reveal of it, like Anthony Santander has the famous the players love them. They do look cool. I think the fans really like them. The Ravens don't make missteps and shit like that. Other than but they're notorious now. The mustard pants, the gold pants. That was like the only
Stackhouse, and the mustard pants are the City Connect equivalent here.
Yep, mind meld there with Stackhouse, exactly. Flagship fantasy, little worrisome. I think we sniffed that out. We sniffed that out ahead of time though. So they'll still get Ravens will have 8 penalties for 72 yards. That's my prediction.
They kept them pretty low last week, didn't they?
Yeah. They did. But this is I believe the initial statement was that this is the heaviest penalty officiating crew per game on average. So we're in for a treat. So just know that that's going to happen and don't let it fluster you.
Yeah. Boil a pot of coffee because this one's going to be running an hour past. So, all sorts of commercials, lots of. This
is the biggest Thursday night that they've had in weeks too, right? Like
Russian nesting dolls of Amazon Prime promotions and just all sorts of shit going on. It's going to be interesting.
I'm trying to figure out what the recent games have been. Thursday night football schedule. I've got it right here. Bills, Dolphins, week 2. Didn't turn out very well. Jets, Patriots, boo. Cowboys, Giants, meh. Falcons, Bucks, yay, very good. 49ers, Seahawks, okay. Broncos, Saints, horrible. Rams, Vikings, okay. And then the Jets and the Texans. So this is probably the best one. There's a couple okay ones. Some of those NFC West ones are okay.
Heart goes out, by the way, to Dennis Allen. Just one of the rare sources of just pure unadulterated entertainment, like at the beginning of every year, because the Saints have been so forgettable the last couple of years. They would just, you cut to Dennis Allen on the sideline, and I'm like, huh, they're still doing that, huh? Still rolling him out there. And now that's come to an end. It's sad. We're entering a new era with the Saints.
New era. And hopefully the Ravens enter the new era of the 2024 season. Second half, win time, 7-3 and 6-4. I probably say this every time, but about every one. But 7-3 sounds.
7-3 is the last one that you can do it on, because like that 7-3, that is a
7-4. You can do it. You can do it.
8-3 and 7-4. You can, but that's a little bit, you're getting a little cute on that one. I think this is the last big one.
7-3 versus 6-4. 7-3's got me feeling nicey.
Woo!
I think that's a show.
All right. Well, I appreciate you hopping on here with me, pal, as always. I appreciate, as always, everyone hanging with us in the comments on this one. We appreciate you very much. We will be live tomorrow night to recap this one after I get home at 2 a.m. because Clete Blakeman made the game all about himself. Very excited for that. Shout out to you all. Shout out to our sponsors, Jimmy's Famous Seafood, Black Eyed Susan Spice Company. Keep an eye out for the Nevermore Hot Festival coming up on, is the date 11/16? Let me confirm that real quick.
It is.
11/16 at Peabody Heights Brewing. Free to attend. Get out there, check it out. Sample some hot sauces, get yourself some beer. That'll be a good time. Clipper City Barber Company, Fed Thrill Sunglasses. Shout out to all of them. If you liked what you heard, please subscribe to us here on YouTube. Going to be probably doing another giveaway this month. Shout out to
we're doing a giveaway. You can put, I forgot about that part. You can put on any video in the month of November a score prediction for any game. If you're correct, first one I see that's correct. You can only do one per game. Don't go do 100, whatever. Hashtag November score prediction. Any video in the month of November. Be subscribed on YouTube. Steelers, Ravens, 12/21. Giving away 2 tickets, 12/21. So that'll be announced December 1st following the Eagles game. We'll announce the winner for that. So any YouTube video, hashtag November, score prediction, must be subscribed. Get it in.
Absolutely. Do it. Like all the videos, comment on all of them, tell a friend about this podcast. If they like Baltimore sports content, you can find us on social media at Exit52 Podcast on X and Instagram. I am at Jake Louque. That's Louque. Spenny is at Ravens 4 Dummies. That is the number 4. You can find Brian. Got to be getting close to 75 all the way hard. Like, he's got to be so hard right now.
It's next week.
Oh, wow. Okay. And expecting a very drunk recap from him at some time in the near future. Then excited about that. Eric at EDITTI22. Taylor at Taylor Smythe 10. Thanks again, guys. And we will talk to you tomorrow night.
See you.
Arrivederci.